everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the 10-7 MMA. I'm DS. He's Dino Bam Bam. And here we are.
We're here. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
You like being here?
I'm happy to be here.
That's it.
If nothing else. And today, maybe we should talk about Kayla Harrison versus Aspinall, the matchup that was just made.
In my opinion, Kayla Harrison versus Aspinall is going to be an absolute banger, right? Because you have Aspinall, who's absolutely been on a tear. I think she's on a 4-fight losing streak. She's fighting Kayla Harrison, who is on a 1-fight losing streak.
Oh, that's right.
So this is huge. This is huge news.
This is big news.
Yeah.
Big news. But I think instead we should probably talk about UFC 295.
Probably, yeah.
Before that, Dino Bam Bam, tell them what they should do.
Oh, you guys, you want me to tell them what to do?
Yeah.
All right, so here's what you guys should do. Should go right here somewhere. There's a subscribe button. Click that. Next to the subscribe button, there's a little bell. It makes some kind of sound. That's the sound the bell makes. Click that. That'll notify you when our videos drop. Also, you can follow us on Instagram at the107MMA. We have a lot of cool stuff going on there. Lots of pictures.
That's the 107MMA.
Yeah, same way as it's spelled on this channel. We have a lot of pictures with a lot of cool fighters. And if you check our follower list, there is one Jiří Procházka, who's main eventing this
Have you
this
checked
card
that recently?
here.
I don't know if it's
I
still
have checked it recently. Okay. Jiří is still following us.
That's super nice of
Great
him.
man. Do like Jiří does and follow us on Instagram.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Without further ado, let's jump into this. It's a huge card, man. There's a lot of really good fights on here.
I like it.
We haven't discussed it at all, so I'm curious to see what you're going to say about some of these. But let's jump right into it with our boy, Denis Buzukja, in a second UFC fight. His first one with an actual full training camp, of course.
Yeah.
Last one was on short notice. How much notice was that? Was it like a week, 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think it was less than 2. I think it was fight week.
Yeah,
if I recall
correctly. I remember it was really short notice.
Yeah, it was really short notice.
He looked in shape, obviously, but he's taking on, obviously at 145, he's taking on Jamal Emmers. They're not doing him any favors really with the matchup here. But what do you think?
Yeah, it's a tough matchup for sure. Let's start with Denis Buzukja, as you mentioned, absolute our boy here at the 10-7 MMA. If you guys don't know, if you're new to this channel, we've been clamoring. Is that the word?
Sure.
We've been clamoring. We were pushing for Denis Buzukja to get that call from the UFC. They finally called last time.
They saw the videos.
They saw the videos. They listened to Dino and Dino. And they got him in.
In the morning. Smart.
Dino and Dino in the morning. Hey, yes. Shout out Mike and Mike, right?
Yep.
That was a great show growing up.
It was.
I know they kind of...
Then they beefed hard, though.
Hard. Really
so hard. You think one day we'll beef like that?
If we get to, like, a lot of subscribers, I'm cool. I'm down to beef.
Okay.
If you want to beef, we get beef.
All right, that'll probably
I'm just saying, you guys get us to, like, 50K subscribers. Less. I'll fight you.
We'll fight.
Yeah, we'll scrap,
sure.
like,
I'm down. I was
total,
just gonna say.
whatever. We'll make weight. You guys pick. We're big boys, so cut us some slack.
What if they vote on the weight and it's like 170? We gotta,
brother, we gotta diet, fam. We gotta diet
hard.
We gotta diet hard. But anyways, back to the fight. Denis Buzukja, absolute our boy, as I mentioned. Second fight in the promotion. Last time out, he lost his UFC debut to super long-bodied and tall Sean Woodson.
Yeah, very awkward, man.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. We didn't talk about much before recording, but we did talk about the Sean Woodson-Denis Buzukja fight.
Right.
Sean Woodson, an anomaly at 145. Really, really tall-bodied. The dude is all, like, legs. He's legs, and then there's, like, a little bit of torso and
very small
Slender
torso.
Man-ass dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Very tough fight for Denis Buzukja to take on short notice. He looked solid. He looked solid in his debut. It's tough to look really good on short notice against the guy that presents...
Yeah, I mean, there's no chance he was sparring with anybody who's 145 pounds who's 6'3".
That's it, with like an 80-inch reach, dude,
Yeah.
which makes absolutely no sense. Like, we're talking 80-inch reach. That's Alex Pereira.
Because his shoulders are so small,
yeah,
and then like his arms are just so long.
So think about it. At 145, dude has the same reach as Jiří and Alex Pereira.
That's nuts.
So that's what we're looking at
Yeah.
there. Look, Jamal Emmers is also long-bodied. He's also a little lanky, but he's not nearly the frame of Sean Woodson. As far as Denis Buzukja is concerned, well-rounded, solid on the feet. Like all the Serra-Longo guys, he's got really good grappling. More than anything, I'm excited to see him on a full camp. Like you said, he fights similar to like Matt Frevola, right? They're both from the same gym. They're both kind of like grappler first guys, but they're willing to brawl a little bit, throw some bombs. I'm not saying he is Matt Frevola. Matt Frevola is a ranked fighter right now, but they're very similar. And then Jamal Emmers, 2-3 in the UFC. Impressive win over Hussein Ashkabov, and then he has another one against Vince Cachero. Losses to Jack Jenkins via split decision, which was a little sus. He also lost to Pat Sabatini and Giga Chikadze. different fighters, different style
guys. He was putting it on Giga, though.
He was putting it on Giga.
And he has a win over Corey Sandhagen back in the day.
There it is. So, in the wrestling, Jamal Emmers he is a wrestler first and foremost.
That's what he started out as.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily think that about him, but that's what he is. Really good takedown defense. The biggest problem with him is he doesn't really put stamps on rounds when it goes to decision, right?
Absolutely. That's why he lost the Jenkins fight.
Exactly. He kind of lets these fights that he's winning get away from him, and I think that's something he definitely needs to improve on. Look, it's a big thing to me, especially we're fighting in New York against the Serra-Longo guy. I feel like the UFC wants to start the card off hot like they normally do with the home crowds. I think this fight goes to decision one way or the other.
I agree.
And if it goes to decision, I'm going to lean with the hometown guy and Denis Buzukja. Who would I be if I didn't pick up my boy?
I like it, man. I like it. I do. Like I said, I don't think they're doing him any favors with the matchup. It's another tall guy who moves really well, nice kicks, nice footwork. And I mean, you listed off some of the fighters that he's taken on. Obviously, a seasoned vet, has been in there with some really good fighters and held his own, and more than held his own at times. So, they're not doing him favors. I think the wrestling is kind of a wash, maybe, you know. We haven't seen Denis and the UFC really wrestle. I mean, a little bit. He was taken down a few times by Woodson, which you wouldn't expect. So,
and he wanted to take Woodson down too, right?
Yeah, but Woodson got him down more.
That's what I'm saying. I just think that's difficult, though, man. I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's just like such a tall guy, man.
No,
you got to stress that. I feel like
it's a big time. I mean, like you said, Emmers is a long, lanky guy too, but not nearly like that. So, I think what Denis needs to do is really be aggressive, and it seems like that is his style, and that I do expect him to do that. If he comes out aggressive, if he sets the tone, like you said, I expect it to go to decision as well. Emmers, like you summarized it perfectly. Not somebody that's going to put that punctuation on a round. So if he's really aggressive, if he works the body, especially, Woodson has a really weirdly short torso. Yeah. Emmers doesn't have that. I think he still had success against him on working the body too. Mm-hmm. I expect to see more of that. I'm going to take our boy by decision as well. But it's close, and I don't know. I mean, he's a good sprinkle on his own. I don't know that Denis, that is. I don't know that I would put it in a parlay.
No, I get where you're coming from with that. I do just want to throw in, I think, as like a polished product, Jamal Emmers is probably the more polished product here. However, it's just like, man, you really got to there's people that know how to win, right? That's a thing in all sports. And it's like, you can be really good, but if you don't have like that winning mentality, that's something. I don't know. So maybe I'm just hanging my hat on that. Maybe I'm hoping for that, but yeah.
And also, the odds, I think, should be closer. I think
absolutely.
The last I saw, Denis was a plus 220.
Absolutely.
Underdog, something like that. There's potentially some money to be made there. Also, just want to say, if I see anybody getting the finish, I think Denis is more likely to get the finish.
Let's get it.
So
I'm down.
Moving on to the next fight of the night, and I really like this guy. It's Joshua Van taking on UFC newcomer making his debut at 125, Kevin Borjas.
Our boy, Joshua Van?
Man, I'll take it.
Come on.
I'll take it. He's so young, dude. Is he 22. I know he was 22. Is he still 22?
Yeah.
Dude, he's jacked. He's like really jacked for 125. You don't usually see a younger guy come in with like that kind of power. Mm-hmm. At 125 especially, his striking is not just he gets a little brawly. He gets a little, nuts at times. I will say that. But for the most part, his striking is clean and crisp. He's got fast hands. He's got good power. Dude, they gave him Zhalgas Zhumagulov in his debut, and he beat his ass pretty much. So I thought it was a pretty decisive. I think it was a split decision, and I think I actually looked back at my notes for the last time Joshua Van fought. I had that by split decision going to him. So do with that info what you will. Yeah, he's super physical, man. Kevin Borjas, I think it's a really tough matchup. It's a really tough guy to come in and debut against. So I have to go with Joshua Van here. I just think Josh Van is better. He's more explosive. He's more powerful. I see a 30-27 decision. Kevin Borjas, I don't know, man. He's got like a physically thin chin. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like, I don't know how much that impacts your actual chin power.
Like it looks,
Yeah, I don't know. He's got a nice right hand. For me, he's more basic with his punches. He doesn't throw as many uppercuts and hooks. It's more 1-2s. He's fairly well-rounded, but we did see him get controlled on the ground in the last fight, too. I just think Josh Van's the guy, man. I just think I think he's somebody that in due time will be at the top of this division. So I'm going Josh Van by decision.
Yeah, so Josh Van, 22 years old, as you mentioned. Future looks bright for sure. And with any of these young guys, right? We talk about Raul Rosas, who last time out, man, he looked super improved, right?
He did.
Any of these young guys, you want to see massive growth every time they're in the cage. I'm hoping that's the case with Joshua Van. I think it is. I think he has more in his game. On the feet, I would say they're pretty equal. Maybe a slight edge to Boras for me. But I think the rest of the game favors Joshua Van. I think all things considered, he is.
You think power-wise, too? I think Josh Van definitely has more power.
I just think technique-wise on the feet,
sure.
right? And then I think everything else is really in Van's favor. Borjas gets his wins via KO, TKO. And I think Van being so young with what we've seen is a pretty good chin so far, right? Like a young guy, a good chin. Like it's hard to knock him out. I think he takes those shots and he survives, and then he finds a way to win this fight via decision as well. You said decision, correct?
I did. Yeah, I said 30-27.
I'm going same thing. I think it'll be a fun fight.
I think I'm not. When I say 30-27, I'm not saying that it's not going to be close. I do think that it'll be a decent fight, a great second fight. I'm with it. Moving on to the third fight of the night, it's ya boy,
I guess,
Kyung Ho Kang, taking on John Castaneda. Why does it say at 138?
Yeah, no idea, brother. Maybe it's a catchweight.
At 138? That's bizarre. Yeah, I doubt that. But anyway, what do you think about this one?
All right, let's start with Kyung Ho Kang, 36 years old, well-rounded vet. Good range management on his feet is the first thing I noticed, right? Great power for the division here. Contrary to his opponent, he's very low output, slow paced.
Yeah.
And Castaneda is absolutely not that. Last time out, he beat Christian Quinones, showing he can still kind of hang with the young guys in the division. So that was really impressive. He's a shocking 8-3 in the UFC.
Yeah, because he had military duty. He took off 3 years.
Right. My point there is 8-3 is a great record.
It's a really good record.
Like how we were talking about.
I'm just saying there's massive gaps. He was hurt, and he was out for 4 years.
Right. I think it was Zaleski last week that we were talking about with an impressive record, 10-3 or something like that. Right.
It was
similar to him.
And he looked great.
Yeah, he looked awesome. Similar to Zaleski, a vet with a sneaky good record. He's fighting John Castaneda, 31 years old. Like I said, he's nonstop. He's great pace. He's the cardio pusher here. Former collegiate wrestler. On the feet, he's okay. There isn't too much power there. With a lot of these wrestlers, you think okay, they're wrestlers. They throw that big overhand and they do have the power. Not necessarily with him. He's 3-2 in the UFC with wins over Muin Gafarov, Miles Johns, and Chicago's own Eddie Wineland.
Yep.
Shout out Eddie Wineland.
And Eddie Wineland was old at that point.
Right, it was an old Eddie Wineland. His losses have come to Nathaniel Wood and Daniel Willycat, another my boy. Odds at the time of recording here, minus 140 for John Castaneda.
Yeah.
Plus 120 for Kang. This one's it's very tough for me. I can see this fight going both ways.
This is I think maybe the toughest fight to predict on the card.
See, early on, yes, I think we get that later on that there are super close fights, but yeah, I actually have that written here that it's the toughest fight for me to pick.
Yeah.
But I think
so.
as going, as we move on, there are some tough ones on this. Look, I just haven't been overly impressed with Castaneda. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reaching. I'm taking Kang by knockout.
By knockout?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Listen, also, one thing that shocked me is Kyung Ho Kang has 12 submission victories.
That's really interesting.
And, I mean, you don't, in the last three fights that he's won, he's mostly kept it on the feet.
Yeah.
And he's looked really good on the feet. Moves super gracefully, very light on his feet, loves using the leg kick, and look, I'm sorry, it's two in a row, I think. It's versus Batgirl Dana and Christian Quinones. Quinones. Yeah, he was rocked in the last fight, but found a nice counter, put Quinones down, eventually subbed him. So,
do you think Christian Quinones is better than John Castaneda?
I think so.
I think so too.
I personally think so.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I know John Castaneda's a lot younger. He is well-rounded. They're both well-rounded. At first I want to say John Castaneda, and there's been fights where you watch Kyung Ho Kang, he doesn't look that great.
Right.
But I got to ride with the momentum. I think he's building on something a little bit here. Yes, he's 36 years old, but he hasn't had a ton of fights in the last few years. So
right.
I'm gonna go Kyung Ho Kang. I'm gonna go by split decision. I think it's still gonna be close. This is such a tough one to call. I don't want any parts of this betting.
Yeah, I'm not touching this.
I'll tell you that for 100%.
I don't love betting on this card.
There's a couple fights.
Yeah,
there's a few fights. You know?
Yeah.
My whole card parlay is probably not going to go anywhere.
No.
So, anyway, fourth fight of the night. Moving on. Jared Gordon taking on Mark Madsen.
Super weird placement, right?
150. Very weird placement, and I think kind of a weird fight, honestly.
Okay.
So, I mean, Mark Madsen, okay, is not good on the feet.
Right.
He's not a good striker at all.
Did you know he was an Olympian?
I did know he was an Olympian.
That's literally like
that's the whole shtick.
That's like his whole vibe.
He won. Did he win a gold medal with a broken frickin' neck though?
Shout out Kurt Angle.
Shout out Kurt Angle. Shout out Perk Angle as well.
Hey,
I'm sure he doesn't like being called that anymore.
No, but it is what it is, bro.
It is what it is. But I just want to say, so we've seen Mark Madsen in a couple UFC fights at this point. Mm-hmm. That Greco-Roman style of wrestling doesn't always translate well. I would argue it doesn't I mean, let me take a step back. It's better to have wrestling, obviously, than not. I'm just saying the type of offensive grappling that you do in the UFC is much different than Greco-Roman wrestling. So it hasn't translated very well for Mark Madsen. I mean, we've seen him lose on the ground or be controlled on the ground. Yeah, he was dominated on the ground against Grant Dawson in his last fight for sure. He's now, 40 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is Jared Gordon that great? No.
He's 39, but yeah.
Yeah, well, fine, 39. And it's not like Jared Gordon's that young either. I think he's 35, something like that. I just think Jared Gordon is definitely better on the feet.
Yeah.
And I think he's good enough on the ground. For me, Mark Madsen is kind of like a novelty. You know, not to talk shit about him or anything like that. I just think he's, like you said, like he's an Olympian. There aren't a ton of fighters in the UFC from Denmark, right? So it's like, I get it. Why not? But yeah, for me, I don't think Gordon's anything amazing. I think the difference is going to be on the feet. Every fight starts on the feet, and I just don't think Mark Madsen is going to sit there and control him on the ground. I mean, I haven't seen that at all from him. Now he's 39 years old. I don't see it. So I'm going to go Jared Gordon by decision.
Cool. I want to touch on a couple things here. First of all, Jared Gordon, a decent grappler, decent wrestler in his own right.
Right.
So let's start there.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. I mean, he's got enough skill. Even though this guy's an Olympian, this is the UFC, this is MMA.
Exactly.
You're not going to dominate him.
Yeah. That being said, we have seen him get out-wrestled. Jared Gordon, right?
Right.
His last fight was in April. That was the Bobby Green fight where he got knocked out via headbutt. That was a no contest.
Yep, that was brutal.
He was arguably winning that fight.
I thought so.
And at this point, Bobby Green just beat Grant Dawson, who's beat both of these guys, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, MMA math, go figure. Mm-hmm. But he was looking good against Bobby Green. And that looks like, if you just stop it before the headbutt, he was winning the fight. And that's impressive at this point, considering what Bobby Green just did, right?
Absolutely.
So
it's certainly more impressive than anybody that Mark Madsen's fought even.
That's what I'm saying. So he had that. Before that, he had the fight against Patty.
Right.
And say what you want about Paddy Pimblett. Like, he lost that fight, right?
Sure.
He won that fight. We all know that Jared Gordon won that fight.
Right.
So, he beat.
It was less about how good Jared Gordon looked and more about just like, damn, Paddy's not that good.
Right. So, but my point is, Bobby Green, he was beating him. In my mind, he beat Paddy Pimblett. He's on like a nice... He's been looking good. He had like a little career resurgence here where he's been looking good. Like... Sorry, I lost my spot here. Before that, he beat Leonardo Santos. His only real loss, if you take away the Patty one, because it wasn't a loss to me, his only real loss since 2019 is Charles Oliveira.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Or, like, that's good. Grant Dawson after Charles Oliveira.
Right.
Pretty good, like, those are good guys to lose to. So he's looked pretty good. As far as Marco Madsen, like you said, he won the Olympics. That's like his whole thing. As far as these super duper top level wrestling guys, Dino, to me, man, he looks the worst of all of them.
Yeah.
And last week
he's also the oldest.
That is true. And last week we mentioned undefeated fighters. He was undefeated before his last fight. We mentioned the Peruvian guy, and I'm sorry I'm losing his name, but we mentioned that he was the worst undefeated fighter in our opinions in the UFC.
Yes, Marcos.
Sure.
I forgot.
Anywho.
Okay. Yeah.
While this guy was undefeated, I think Mark Madsen might have been the worst undefeated fighter in the UFC.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So think about the top level wrestling guys, right? Olympians that we've had in the UFC. Like, obviously, we've had a ton of NCAA champions, but the Olympians, Henry Cejudo, Daniel Cormier, right? These are the guys that jump to mind. Well, thinking of guys like Bo Nickel, like super high-level NCAA champions. Brock Lesnar was an NCAA champion. I'm sure there's been tons more. But it's like, out of those guys, he's by far the worst wrestler of those guys. So I don't know if it was the fact that it was in Greco-Roman as opposed to freestyle wrestling or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, but you're naming actual like some Olympians, like
right?
some Olympic like winners. I mean, I'm sorry. Like,
right, but he won a silver medal, didn't he? Isn't that Marco Madsen's whole thing?
Oh, did he win a medal?
Yeah, he won a silver medal.
Okay, so it's like, I was like, maybe he's just from Denmark and they're just not.
Right, but like DC didn't win a medal. You know, like Bo Nickel never went to the Olympics. Like,
yep.
I don't know, man. He's not.
No,
too
you're right.
impressive.
I absolutely agree with you. He's. You don't look at him and you're like, damn, that guy's dominating on the ground.
That's
like,
what I'm saying. So, yeah. Long story short, I am agreeing. Jared Gordon by decision.
And when he has gotten people down, it's not like he does much with it.
He's not special to me, man. Like,
no,
he might have been in his younger days.
Last fight. Like,
he might have been special in his younger days. You know, he did something that's stupidly impressive.
No, absolutely.
But
how can I possibly take that away from him?
Yeah. But he's no Kurt Angle.
That's for sure.
Right.
Moving on, next fight of the night, number 5 on the docket, we've got Nazim Sadikov taking on Vyacheslav Borshev.
Hey.
Slava Claus.
Taking
him on at 155. What do you think about this one?
I like this fight a lot. Nazim Sadikov, another Serra Longo guy, teammates with Aljo and Merab and Denis Bazookia and all those dudes. Good stand-up game, man. Always moving forward. He can be low volume at times as well. He's a decent counter.
You're talking about Nazim?
Yeah, Nazim Sadikov. Solid counter shots. He'll throw some wild, weird, spinny shit every once in a while.
Yeah.
Even though it's really weird because he seems very like methodical and technical when he is striking, and he takes his time, and then it's just like out of nowhere, here's some flashy shit.
Yeah.
So
I feel like he gets like mad sometimes.
It could be. Yeah, he could be. He is weird on the feet. I'll say that. As far as on the ground, he's pretty good. He's what you expect out of a Serra Longo dude. Maybe he's not quite as good as the rest of those guys in the wrestling, which is weird because he's Sadikov. He's the OV guy. Right. He's the dude from that side of the world, but he's not necessarily a wrestler. His debut fight was against T-Rex. We know what happens in T-Rex fights, right? Can you survive that? Can you survive that first initial avalanche onslaught that's coming towards you? If you can, you got a shot. Yep. He was getting his ass beat a little bit. He survived. Round 2 came. T-Rex made a mistake. He took advantage of it, found the sub. Vyacheslav Borshev, of course, he comes to us from your favorite show, Dancing with the Stars. Shout out Dana White's Contender Series. Have you heard this guy's story, by the way, about like how he got to Team Alpha Male?
No.
Okay, so he's Russian.
Right.
I guess
Wait, is he?
I'm pretty sure. But he's from somewhere over there. I'm pretty sure it's Russian. Okay. So I guess he like came here from Russia, didn't speak the language, didn't know anything, ended up in California somehow, and then like was like looking for gyms to train at. He's a kickboxer, like a former kickboxer. So he finds Team Alpha Male and he just like kind of like goes into their gym and he's like, hi, like I'm here to train. And they're like, bro, who the fuck are you? Like, who's this guy? Like, no, you can't just like join our gym. It's not like a public gym where you pay like $60 a month and like come here, like we're like real dudes,
Right.
And he's like, no, like don't worry about it, like I'm here to like learn, like I want to learn like wrestling, I'm here to do MMA. And they're like, you can't just like start doing MMA, fam. He's like, no, I'm a kickboxer. And he pulled up his YouTube highlights and like showed it to them. He's like, this is me, like
sick.
Can you guys like teach me like
Thank
grappling
God for YouTube?
Right. He's like, can you guys teach me grappling? So like that's how we ended up there, I guess.
And they're like, fuck it.
Yeah, like I guess this guy, like maybe you could teach us some stuff. Well, there it is, right?
Love
Anyways,
that. Love that for him.
Really good kickboxer.
Who gave him the nickname?
It was TJ Dillashaw. Or no, not TJ. Uriah Faber. TJ Dillashaw. He doesn't do
Uriah
anything with those guys. Yeah. Uriah Faber.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, because I guess he was like, nobody could like pronounce his name and nobody spoke Russian, so they just started calling him Slava Claus. Whatever. Anyways, he's a really good kickboxer. He came from that world. Great kicks, great power. The plan, obviously, is to take him down and control him there.
Who?
Slava. Like, people want to take him down.
Sure, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's the game plan, right? You want to be able to take him down and control
him.
him.
Nobody in Russia to teach him no grappling.
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make sense that he came to, like, South
and of all places,
California.
He went to California, yeah.
Right, he's like, yeah, grappling. Anyways. It's really, it is weird now that you think about it, right?
You
like
went from Russia to California, like, you will teach me wrestling.
He could have took, like, a 45-minute drive to Dagestan and, like, figured it out really quickly.
My life. It's probably the weather. So.
Yeah, he doesn't. Anyways. So, look. The plan is simple. It's take him down, hold him there, and that's the thing. He gets taken down super damn easy.
Yeah, he's got awful takedown defense.
Like, he has zero takedown defense. What's impressive is the fact that he gets up.
Yeah.
I think he's been taken down like 25 times or something like that in his UFC fights.
Yeah, I think Mark Jacasey, after fighting him, that's when he was like...
That's when he was like, I'm going to do this.
I'm going to start wrestling for him.
So I think the numbers were something like, it was like 30 takedowns or like something. It was like something preposterous. but he's gotten up like 28 times or something like that. The dude gets up. So at least he's got that down.
Derek Lewis is that bitch.
That's what I'm saying. So I think being at Alpha Male is probably good for him. That's probably the place to, like, learn grappling, I guess.
Yeah.
He picked it. So that's just what it is. Look, Nazim needs to take Borshev down, and that's got to be his game plan. But he is a stand-up fighter himself, Nazim Sadikov.
Right.
So I think even if he does get Borshev down, we're getting a stand-up kickboxing fight. If we get a kickboxing fight, I have to trust Slava by knockout. If Nazim Sadikov is using his wrestling and it's improved a little bit, he can easily ride out a decision. But I'm taking Slava.
Yeah, this is another tough one. This is a tough one.
Weird styles, bro.
And it's grappler versus striker. You know.
Yeah, but Nazim isn't really right. Yeah, he's more of a stand-up guy to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, he's got okay grappling, but he's a brawler.
He is, and you know what? I don't love his style. I feel like, yes, he's gotten wins, you know, and he has looked okay in those wins, but, and I know he finished T-Rex, but, you know, T-Rex was on a bad streak there.
Right.
And that was, like, in the middle of, like, him, like, I don't know.
And we're talking round 2 T-Rex.
Yeah.
It's a different fighter than round 1
100%.
T-Rex.
And then it's like Evan Elder, you know, I don't know. I got to agree with you. I don't know if it's going to be by knockout. It could be by decision. But, yeah, I mean, you would hope that Borshev has worked on his goddamn takedown defense at least a little bit.
Right.
I mean, it has looked really bad. So, this is tough, man. Initially, I did have Nazim because I just assumed that he would be able to take him down.
It's coin flippy.
And just basically hold him there. At that point, I don't really see a finish coming. But, yeah, I'm gonna go with Borshev by knockout as well.
You know what I'd like to see?
What?
Vyacheslav Borshev versus T-Rex.
Oh my god.
I think that is like a recipe for wild shit.
Oh my god. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think T-Rex wins that though.
I think so too, but who knows? You know?
But anyway, moving on, we've got, and this, talk about a fun guy too.
Yeah.
We got Mateusz Rebecki?
Yeah.
Versus Roosevelt Roberts in his, second stint now in the UFC?
Mm-hmm.
After The Ultimate Fighter. He didn't win it. He got knocked in the semis, I believe, knocked out by Austin Hubbard.
Yep.
Yeah, to me, this is one of the locks of the card, really. Mm-hmm. I just think Mateusz Rebecki, I mean, yes, he's 5'7". Yes, he has a 66-inch reach, by the way. He's a little pit bull, dude.
He's a tank.
He's just a little tank. He's jacked as hell. He's got a ton of power. Like, you look at him and you're like, you know how this guy's going to fight.
Yeah.
You look at him and you're like, this guy's going to throw everything that he has. But he didn't, like, for somebody that's that jacked, he hasn't, like, gassed out a ton.
He's good.
He's really good. Yeah. Another guy that I wish was either a little bit younger or got here a little bit sooner. He's 18-1, man. Like, and he has a ton of knockouts, a ton of finishes on his record. For me, Roosevelt Roberts, the only thing that he really has on him is the length and the size, the height. But Roosevelt Roberts, I mean, I watched obviously the Austin Hubbard fight.
Yeah.
He was eating leg kicks. He was eating body kicks. Dude, what's his name? Rebecki has amazing body kicks, super fast, super powerful, and this guy has a long torso. So for me, I could absolutely see him working the body and then working the leg, slowing Roosevelt Roberts' movement down a little bit, eventually getting in. And listen, this guy's been 5'7" his whole adult life.
Right,
okay?
He figured it out.
He knows how to fight. He's 18-1.
Yeah.
I promise you, at least 50 or 60% of the people or more that he's fought against have been considerably taller than him. So I don't think the height's going to be a problem for him. I see him getting, surprisingly, I'm going to say second round sub.
Okay.
I'm going to say second round sub. I think he clips him on the feet and then gets the sub eventually in the second round. Early second round, I'm going to say.
Cool. Let's talk about Mateusz Rebecki for a second. 15-fight win streak or something like that. He's absolute killer. 9 wins by knockout. Dino 6 by sub. And we've seen him win like 3-4 decisions.
Yep.
So the dude is well-rounded. He can win the fight anywhere it goes.
And by the way, not fighting cans.
No,
not
really
fighting
good
cans.
guys.
Since 2017, 18-5, 8-2, 12-2, 12-1, 12-2, 30-12, 11-1. This guy's fighting killers, bro.
Let me say this.
Like, he's fighting legit fighters.
100%. When we watch film, me and you, of these newcomers to the UFC,
yeah,
right? And I'm not talking guys from LFA or CFFC, like, you know, not the like big, like the second class, like big North American promotions. Yeah. When we see people from out of the country, right? We start watching these people in Russia, and we start watching these like African fighters or European leagues and Brazilians, right? To me, newcomers, the most fun I had watching film was Mateusz Rebecki, like months ago.
Dude, he's wrecking people.
I remember watching a hella of his fights, whatever I could find.
You're right.
Watching honestly, tons of them.
You're absolutely right.
And I was like, yo, this dude is legit. He's just short. Like, how's that going to translate at the top level, right? Anyways.
I would love to see him. I think he has the skills to get...
He's scary. He's legit.
Bro, he's a beast.
He's legit. And look, this fight was supposed to be against the undefeated Nurullo Aliev, right?
Right.
Nurullo Aliev, the Tajik Eagle, nicknamed Tajik Eagle because he looks like a young Khabib. They're like identical from the side profile.
Yeah.
And in typical Nurullo Aliev fashion and typical Khabib fashion, he pulled out. That's what these guys do, right? 100%. So he's copying Khabib to like a T. He's like, oh, brother, we can pull out?
That guy does look like a slightly more handsome Khabib.
That's what I'm saying. He's like a young, like, haven't taken damage to the face Khabib. That's like his whole shtick. But anyways, and I wish we got to see that fight because I think that would have been way more interesting than this.
I agree.
I like Roosevelt Roberts. You know, I've always liked Roosevelt Roberts. I just want to say
7 inches of reach and 7 inches of height. So that's fucking a lot of inches. That's fucking crazy.
That's a lot of inches. Look, my whole thing is I would have loved to have seen the other fight. I'm happy for Roosevelt Roberts being back in the UFC.
Why though? He didn't win?
No, but I'm just saying, I like the guy. I like him as a fighter. I think he's solid. Good for him. Good for you. I'm happy for you to be back in the UFC. Sucks that this is the matchup they're giving you because
the dick riding's crazy.
On super short notice, you ain't winning this shit. Sure. So how's that for dick riding? You ain't winning this shit. That's the problem.
He wasn't gonna ever win it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you got no shot in this fight. Hopefully they give him another fight and he gets someone that's like a approachable matchup.
That's great. The slurp and spit though.
Last thing about
spin at it.
So let's swallow here. Last thing about Mateusz Rebecki. He's really good on the feet. He's really good on the ground. He beat a guy on the ground, and his name was Magomed Magomedov.
True.
And he finished dude on the ground.
He's a really good wrestler.
So like,
he's a really good wrestler. He's got some submissions. He's got a ton of power. He's got fucking T-Rex arms. He's jacked though.
Yeah, he's just a tank.
He's basically like if somebody took Michael Chandler and just
even more
squeezed him down a little more.
Yeah, like even more.
Yeah, like an inch or two. How tall is Michael Chandler? 5'9"?
He's short. No, he's shorter than that, dude.
Oh, is he? Maybe they're the same height.
I'm like 5'11" on a good day, and when I
5'8". Okay, so like just one more inch, like just squeeze him down, and then
that's what I'm saying.
You got this guy.
He's thick bodied. Anyways, I'm going Mateusz Rebecki round 1. I think he's gonna get a TKO. Like you said, maybe drop him, and then I'm figuring. I feel like a pound him out kind of thing. Hammer fists. You know
I like the emotions.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It really drives the point home because I was like, damn, like I pictured him like
dude's fucking aggressive.
He really is though. He's a tank,
and he's also Polish. Shout out Conrad, our one Polish fan.
Shout out Conrad.
Let's go.
You're that boy. All right, so moving on. What matchmaking here though? You got this. Roosevelt Roberts going to get knocked out or tapped out, whatever. You're going to see this tank of a man taking on this dude. And then they're like, here's Tabatha Ricci versus Loopy Godinez. It's not a bad fight. It's really not a bad fight.
But I get what you're saying.
What do you think about that? Yeah, I just don't, it's like,
so we go from
put in Steve Erceg and Alessandro Costa and then give me this fight, if anything.
Right. But Steve Erceg, doesn't he look like Steve Carell? Like a young Steve Carell. That's what I've been
He looks like a young Andy Carell.
Shout out Andy.
Like super skinny Andy.
All right.
Yeah.
But anyways, Tabatha Ricci, Loopy Godinez, 2 grapplers here. We know what it is. Tabatha Ricci.
You know what it is?
A jiu-jitsu practitioner. She's always hunting the sub when she fights.
She got a great ass. She has a nice ass.
And what color? What color joints we talking about?
What movie is that from?
I don't know, but it sounds like.
She's got a great ass.
Sounds like Pacino.
It is Pacino. Yeah. I think it's from Heat. Yeah.
Shout out Heat.
He improvised that line too. Anyway, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I was saying Tabatha Ricci, and what color joints does she have the great ass?
Man.
And them yellow joints, right?
100%.
And them yellow venom joints.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. Shout out those.
100%. Oh. You know what? Her face for like a fighter, it don't look too bad either.
Also,
she got nice hair.
Since we're talking about the venom joints, do you remember the John Jones card against Cyril Gane?
I barely remember what I had for breakfast.
All right, well, the John Jones Cyril Gane card.
Yep.
And Valentino was on that card as well. The famous picture of John Jones where he has like the belt on now and he's like celebrating and all the bullshit with like the new belt. He's wearing the black with like blue venom. Remember they did the midnight blue?
Yeah, those are clean. Even though I feel like navy blue and black don't necessarily go together.
Right.
That looked pretty sick, though.
So they did like that special edition. They're doing a special edition for this one. They're doing emerald green.
Ooh.
So
I fuck with that.
So that's going to be dope to see that.
I really like that. Emerald green and black.
Yeah.
With gold.
I guess for the champions or like whatever. Yeah, for the championship fights they're doing gold.
I like it.
Anyways, Tabatha Ricci, jiu-jitsu girl. She's always looking for the finish. She's on a 4-fight win streak. Wins over Jillian Robertson, Jessica Penne, Poliana Viana, who's a yo girl, I believe, and Maria Oliveira.
No. What the fuck?
Maria Oliveira. Her only loss was to Manon Fior, and that's as good as a loss can get at this point, right? You said it, brother. That's as good as a loss can get at this point in the UFC. She's looked really damn good. No shame in losing to her. On the feet, Tabatha Ricci's pretty damn mid.
I'd
to
like
be
to get a
honest
sniff
with you.
of it.
Who? Tabatha Ricci?
Yeah.
That's good, man.
Just take a good whiff.
Just a nice. Good morning, ladies. It's one of those. Hello.
Yeah.
Shout out Val Venus. Hello, ladies.
Hello, ladies.
Anyway, she's nothing special on the feet. There's definitely some holes in her game there for sure, but she is super damn dangerous on the ground. Then we have Loopy Godinez, who for 115 is thick-bodied as hell. As thick as a 115 body can get, like super short and stocky.
Bigger than a bowl of oatmeal.
There it is. Super short and stocky for the weight class. Her game's all about wrestling. She uses like a really aggressive bullying style when she's at her best to get the fight to the ground and control it there. On the feet, she's okay. Again, she's nothing special. Her biggest flaw is oftentimes we've seen her fight down to her competition and not perform her best, right? Yeah. So it's like we thought we had something in Loopy Godinez, and just when you think she's taking that next step, she takes a loss to a veteran.
I hated that. I hated that. Who was that against?
I remember the Angela Hill one.
The Angela Hill one was bad.
There was another loss sprinkled in there. I forgot who that was against, but
she is just so inconsistent, man.
That's what it is. It's inconsistency.
You never know what you're going to get.
It's inconsistency. She is on a 3-fight win streak now ever since she's moved gyms to join Alexa Grasso, yo girl.
Luana Carolina is another one that she weirdly
That was
lost.
the Luana Carolina fight. So since she moved, Loopy Godinez, since she moved to the gym with Alexa Grasso and all those girls, she's looked a lot better.
Absolutely.
She looks super improved, so good for her. I'm trusting Loopy Godinez here. I think she's I think she's a fair bit better on the feet and aggressive enough in the grappling to where if this fight gets to the ground, if she's the one taking it there, she can remain heavy on top to avoid anything. And then if she's the one being taken down, I think she's explosive enough to get up without being too risky and giving up a sub.
Yep.
Look, and if this fight goes to decision, which I truly believe it will, I think Loopy stylistically will win the fight. And even if she doesn't and it's very close, we know the UFC's push for the Mexican market, and they love Loopy Godinez. I don't see a world where they give Tabatha Ricci a decision over Loopy.
Tabatha Ricci is the better-looking fighter, though.
Sure, but they don't need Brazil.
That's true.
You know?
That's true. But, you know, you got something to consider, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you basically broke it down, man. Tabatha Ricci, the only place to me where she has a distinct advantage is the jiu-jitsu, is the submission grappling, right? For me, Loopy quite obviously has the better offensive grappling, the better offensive wrestling. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think Tabatha Ricci is going to have a tough time getting Loopy down, and I think Loopy can fairly easily get Tabatha Ricci down. On the feet, I just think that there's more snap behind Loopy's punches. Tabatha Ricci, really not anything super special on the feet. I do think she has improved, but, you know, my only concern, like you said, is Loopy going to come out flat? I mean, Tabatha Ricci is a pretty good fighter all around. You know, all things considered, she has some nice wins under her belt too. So if Loopy comes out flat in this one and is kind of lazy and, you know, whatever, because we've seen it in two fights that she's lost.
That's her whole thing.
It's one thing to lose. It's another where you're like, what the hell? Like, what? You're low output. You're fighting completely different than you usually fight. You're not using your grappling. The punches have less snap on it. So if she comes out flat, it's going to be a tough fight for her, and I could see Tabatha Ricci winning, but I'm going to trust Loopy to take it home, and I, too, will say by decision.
Let's get it. By the way, Baby Shark, Tabatha Ricci, she does this thing.
Yeah. Why Baby Shark, though?
I don't know. I like it.
I mean, I don't know that I like it, but moving on to the next fight of the night, it's Steve Erceg taking on Alessandro Costa at 125. Steve Erceg is so interesting to me, man. Like, he was another guy whose tape was very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
You look at this guy and you're like, this guy shouldn't be good at. Like, there's no way this guy's a good fighter. Mm-hmm. Like, he's got like the pointy kind of face. You know, nothing wrong with it. I'm sorry, just saying. Like,
I get what you're saying.
He looks kind of nerdy, right? And then And then you're like, damn, this guy's pretty good, right? And then my only question mark with him coming into the UFC was like, how really is his striking? But versus David Dvorak, man, who is a pretty damn legit. I think he was ranked at the time.
He was
10th or something like that.
10 or 11, yeah.
Yeah, so to come in on short notice, I believe, against a really, really good top 10 fighter in the division, and win fairly handily. I mean, it was kind of close, but you know, he pretty clearly won that fight. And then first of all, on the feet, he looked impressive. So he held his own and at times won the exchanges. And then when it went to the ground, I mean, it was just really no contest. To me, Steve Erceg really showed how good of a grappler he is against a well-rounded fighter like David Dvorak, somebody who's looked really good in his own fights. Alessandro Costa has also looked good. I do think that he's going to have the power advantage. For 125, he throws with some real heat. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one here because I think if it does go to the ground, Erceg does have an advantage here. On the feet, you know, technique-wise, Erceg is really good. He's got pretty good technical kickboxing and boxing, but I think the power difference is pretty vast. Now, we have seen Erceg hit in the chin, right? We've seen his chin tested, and he seems to have a pretty good chin. I think Alessandro Costa is in the 90th percentile in flyweight as far as power goes. So this is a tough one, man. This is like one of those, I think there's been two so far that I thought were really tough. This is like the third one for me because, I don't know, I absolutely could see Alessandro Costa chinning his ass.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go Steve Erceg by decision. I'm going to say 29-28 decision. I think it's going to be a close fight, man. And he's got to watch that chin. But, yeah, I'm going to trust him to win it.
I agree that I do believe this fight is going to be very close throughout, right? Steve Erceg, man, he's getting a lot of credit for beating David Dvorak. That was very impressive. He was a pretty damn big underdog in that fight, making his UFC
I don't think
debut.
either of us picked him.
No, we didn't. Yeah. I don't think we did, there's no way
I
picked
didn't.
him, yeah. So
I actually didn't. I was like, this guy can't be.
That's what I'm saying.
Very down
I had no faith. And then everything you mentioned about Costa is spot on, right? Good striker, throws hella hard. When he does throw, he's a little low output sometimes, but he looks crisp when he starts throwing his combos and shit. I think both guys are very unique for the weight class. As you mentioned, Costa with the power. I think it is an outlier in this division. And then as far as Erceg, the ground game, he's really sharp down there.
Really sharp.
So I think they are both outliers. Erceg is the slight favorite here because he beat David Dvorak. I truly believe that's the reason they have him favored here. My thing is, did we give David Dvorak too much respect? He is really good on the feet, but what has David Dvorak really done, right? So I watched some David Dvorak film. The most impressive thing about him, I mean, right now he's on a 3-fight losing streak, David Dvorak. Let's not pretend like he beat some guy who was top of the food chain and winning, right? So he was on a losing streak. The most impressive thing he's done in the UFC is not get finished by Mateusz Nicolau and Manel Kape.
Yeah, but again, he's fought Mateusz Nicolau, Manel Kape, and I do think that, like, here's the thing.
Like that, but you know what I'm saying?
Those are really good guys, though.
They are really, of course
That's
they
the
are.
top of the division.
But we're giving you credit for not being finished by those guys.
Sure.
That's what it is.
But he held his own. I mean, he had some moments. You know, I don't think he looked completely like out of his element.
Sure, he did, but he also to me didn't.
It was kind of weird that he was ranked.
He was like 10th on a 2-fight losing streak.
Yeah, because he had 2 UFC wins before, 3 UFC wins before that.
Against literally nobodies.
Yeah, literally nobody.
So
Bruno Silva, fine, but like
really weird, right?
Yeah, that is weird. He fought a 4-0 guy. What the fuck?
Odd to me. So I'm gonna go with the underdog here.
I still believe in Steve Erceg, but
that's fine. And here's what I have written. I don't trust in Erceg for now. Maybe he does prove me wrong here. He can totally win this fight.
So you think this is a good test for him?
I think this is a great test. I think this fight plays out really close. I am going to trust the power of Costa. I think he ends up clipping him and hurting him in the third, either getting a finish or if not, really putting a stamp on the fight his way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Next fight on the docket, Pat Sabatini taking on Diego Lopes. And, man, Diego Lopes has been a revelation at 145. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I absolutely love this fight. 2 grapplers, 2 my boys. Are these 2 our boys? Any one of them?
Diego Lopes is an our boy.
Diego Lopes. I know you love Diego Lopes. Pat Sabatini, not so much?
I don't know, man.
That's fine.
I've kind of soured on him a little bit.
I get it.
It's the striking for me.
All right. Still a my boy for me. So, Pat Sabatini, jiu-jitsu guy, good wrestling, top-level grappler, on the feet, as you mentioned. Meh. Pretty meh. He's okay.
He has the knockout over, what's his name? Damon Jackson.
Right. He does have some power, but he's very hittable. And he's really, like, stiff in the stand-up. Stiff as hell.
He looks like a wrestler trying to box.
Yeah, it's nothing special. Diego Lopes, super-duper high-level jiu-jitsu. On the feet, when he does throw, he throws heavy as hell. Similar to Pat Sabatini, the dude is pretty hittable. He's not nearly as stiff as Pat Sabatini is in the stand-up, but he's hittable. He's coaching Alexa Grasso and all those people at that gym in Mexico. So his jiu-jitsu is... He's coaching world champions.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
On jiu-jitsu, right? He's like that.
And, like, you hear some of the other fighters in the UFC talk about him.
Yeah, I mean, he is top of the food chain jiu-jitsu as far as MMA is concerned, right?
Yeah.
So he's a dog. He's stupidly dangerous if the fight gets to the ground. He obviously got all of our love and respect when he fought Movsar Evloev, and he ended up losing that fight, but almost. I mean, he had the deepest submission we've seen. Like, he could have won that fight in any other universe, right?
Yep.
Anyways, maybe I'm crazy. I'm taking Pat Sabatini. Do you know? I think he's he's the favorite, but I feel like everybody's picking Diego Lopes, right? So on the Vegas odds, he is the favorite, Pat Sabatini. The way I see it is he's a bit better on the feet, just a little bit.
I don't think that's at all the case.
Hey,
I think
it is what it is,
yeah,
right? Agree to disagree here. It's a tough one. I'm not putting any money on it. I think Pat Sabatini's good enough on the ground to not get in stupid situations, and I'm sure he's aware of the dangers of Diego Lopes. Taking Pat Sabatini by decision, I could be way wrong. Two absolute my boys. I'll just say that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting to me that you say that you think Pat Sabatini is the better striker.
Maybe it's the pure power, just like the pure physical power.
Yeah.
Like, he is stiff as hell, and Diego Lopes looks more the part on the feet. But I don't even necessarily know that he looks very good on the feet too. You know what I'm saying?
I think he's definitely the better boxer, the better kickboxer.
He might be.
And I don't think that there's a big power difference personally.
Okay.
So, yeah, and so look, for me, Pat Sabatini is the better wrestler, right? Diego Lopes is going to have a tougher time getting Pat Sabatini down than vice versa, right? So, I'm pretty confident, let's say, in Diego Lopes here. My only concern with him is sometimes we've seen him a little bit too willing to, because he's so goddamn good at jiu-jitsu, he's willing to give up, let's say, a full guard position, or he's willing to give up top control, right? So my only concern is it's not that long of a fight, right? It's 15 minutes, 3 rounds, 5 minutes. So if he does a little bit too much of that and lets Pat Sabatini take him down and is kind of going for submissions on the ground, but Pat Sabatini's maybe landing some strikes from the top position, I think he's going to lose a decision that way. Yep. So for me, he's either got to keep it standing on the feet or work his way back up once he gets taken down. He should absolutely, because we've seen it even against Evloev, we saw it. I mean, we were very impressed. He constantly is going for submissions. He's so good that in any position he can probably find something and clasp it on you.
All right.
Pat Sabatini's really good at jiu-jitsu too. It's going to be a lot tougher to do that to somebody like him. So, I don't know, man. I'm going to still go with Diego Lopes. I'm going to say by decision.
If Pat Sabatini were to win this fight, how does he win this fight for you?
If he wins this fight, that's exactly how he wins it. I think he...
Decision?
By decision.
Yeah, so you don't see a finish in this fight?
No, I don't see a finish in this
fight.
Two
dangerous jiu-jitsu guys kind of canceling each other out.
Basically. Okay. And, I mean, I think the most likely finish is a knockout by Diego Lopes.
Interesting. Okay.
Against the cage and, like, just...
hurting him.
Yeah. Yep.
Fair.
So, I mean, this is one of my favorite fights on the card.
Love the fight.
I will say that. Yeah. Overall, I am going to be betting on that one. I respect Pat Sabatini. I just think Diego Lopes is something special, let's say.
Fair, man.
Moving on to the 10th fight of the night. It's Matt, the Steamroller Frevola. He's taking on... Man, is Matt Frevola your boy?
I like him.
I like him. I don't know if he's quite a my boy yet. Benoit Saint Denis, though.
I like him, too.
He's a my boy.
It's fair.
He's an absolute my boy. I've said this before. I am ashamed of myself for picking against him versus Ismail Bonfim. I had a feeling maybe he would do something. I'm a big fan of his. And then I bitched out on it, dude. I bitched the fuck out.
We talked real quick. We talked about the last fight being like an absolute banger.
Yeah.
This is a banger.
Oh, my God. This is, in my opinion, most likely to be fight of the night.
I have that written down. There's a very high likelihood that this is fight of the night. Also, I think perfect matchmaking makes absolute sense.
I don't like it because I don't want these guys to like
have to fight each other.
I don't want either of them to lose the steam that they have right now.
Right.
You know?
I get that.
But it is a really good match. I would have rather they fought each other when they're like
a little higher.
Top 5.
Right, but I think it makes sense, right? Matt Frevola's in the rankings. Benoit Saint Denis trying to crack into the rankings. Great spot here. It can't be boring. I have to ask, Dino.
Oh my God.
What do they drink, brother?
Man.
What do they drink?
Matt Frevola, I feel like he drinks beer, dude.
What kind of beer, though?
Like a Miller Lite.
Okay, so he's just drinking, like, the swill-ass beer. Like,
just regular,
he's getting, like, a 24-pack.
Regular American beer, dude.
He's good, yeah.
You know?
What'd you say, a Miller Lite?
Yeah.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's fine.
You know?
It's a good, honest beer.
It's a working man's beer.
That's it.
So, Benoit Saint Denis, though.
He's French. You got to think about that.
He is French. I don't want to put too much weight in that, though, because he's a Frenchman who's a beast.
Okay, as opposed to?
Just like, oh, oui, oui, mon chéri.
Like he's not smacking escargot, right?
Escargot's pretty fire, though.
But is he smacking it?
He's smacking it.
He's smacking it?
A little bit,
okay.
like sometimes.
Okay, that's fine.
Have you had escargot?
I have not.
Well, I've had it, but it's like, it's literally, it was in the fucking shell and just like hella butter and garlic. It's like, well, it's gonna
anything's good. Like
as long as the texture is fine, which it was, it's gonna taste pretty good.
No thanks.
Yeah, this is a wild.
What's he drinking?
Oh shit, man, I forgot. Okay, what about like a Peroni? I could see him drinking like a nice Italian beer.
Okay, so they're both beer guys.
Yeah,
this is two beer dudes.
This guy might do.
Here.
No, they're not like, I don't know. I wouldn't say this guy's like a beer dude like that.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
Benoit probably has like the occasional like martini.
Right, he dabbles like in like some shit. But
maybe he starts off with like a nice martini.
Okay.
And then, like after
switch
couple
over,
two Peroni. Have a nice Peroni, maybe like an Amstel Light.
And then
something like that.
Drive home sober.
Get that man behind the wheel after that.
Let's go.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, this is just an unbelievable fight. It's very likely that somebody's getting knocked out here. It's very, very likely that somebody's getting knocked out here. Look, Matt Frevola, in my opinion, has more punching power. Benoit Saint Denis also has a ton of power himself. I think these guys are both pretty well rounded. I think Benoit Saint Denis is a little bit more well rounded. I trust him a little bit more in the grappling. Oh, these guys are both such dogs, though. You know what I mean? Like, these guys are gonna swing, and Benoit, he does swing a little bit aggressively sometimes. Leaves that chin up in the air. Matt Frevola, really nice check hooks, right? So, I cannot pick against Benoit Saint Denis. I cannot do it. You know, it's so damn close to me, and I can't do it. But I absolutely could see Matt Frevola knocking him out against the cage, violently. Yeah. He's a dog. He's got that dog in him. I'm gonna go Benoit Saint Denis by sub.
Okay. To me, I think these guys are damn near carbon copies of each other.
Yeah, they're yeah.
Yeah, I think they're essentially the same guy. They're both grapplers at heart, but they're both absolute dogs who are willing to just go to war.
These guys are going to go
They're
so
fun.
hard.
That's what I'm saying.
These guys are going to go so, like, this is a fight, like, you can't really break it down.
No.
What am I going to break down to you? It's Matt Frevola. He just knocked the shit out of Drew Dober, another insane man. Yeah. When it comes to, they were swinging, caught his ass. He got caught too. Granite chin, stood up on his feet, knocked Drew Dober clean out. Benoit Saint Denis is just an animal, bro. He is an animal. He's a former, like, special forces soldier in France and shit. Like this. What am I gonna say? What are you gonna say to break this down? These are two absolute. It's animals.
Literally those things, right? Like I said, carbon copies. Both wrestlers. They're both willing to just go to war. Besides getting knocked out by T-Rex,
don't go anywhere for this fight.
No. This is
You're locked. You're sitting down, drinking hand already. You're locked in.
We always say you have friends that don't watch MMA. This is the fight you need to make sure they're sitting and staring at the TV.
Okay, how about this? And you know how, like, there's always fights that we've said this many a time. Mm-hmm. This fight has the possibility to be such and such, right? Yeah. This fight has such a it has a high floor.
Yeah.
Okay? It has, like, as high of a floor as I can possibly imagine as a UFC fight.
Yeah.
This fight has it could only be, like, damn good. Or it could be like, holy shit,
spectacular.
This is insanity. What's going on right now?
Absolutely.
For as long as it lasts.
Yeah.
Do you think it goes more than a round?
So that's what I want to get to.
Please, yeah, I'm sorry.
maybe this is wishful thinking. I'm thinking decision. I think we just get. I would love
to see that. I can see it.
Dino, they both refuse to go, right? Like we saw Matt Frevola get knocked out by T-Rex.
They're gonna get into like a.
Yeah, and someone's gonna get really badly clipped.
They're gonna throw hooks.
There's the possibility this fight finishes in 5 seconds. You know what I'm saying? That's a real possibility.
I don't know. They might be a little scared to start.
The only thing that I have here to differentiate between these two is the fact that Matt Frevola's fighting at home. So I'm gonna take the home guy, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This is just an insane fight.
Low confidence. I'm not betting it, but as an MMA fan, I'm excited as dog shit for this one.
Oh my god.
It's like a Gaethje Chandler kind of thing. It's like that.
It's like that with guys who are on the up.
Yeah.
Right?
Should be fun.
Let's see it, man. I can't wait for this. I'm just as excited for this one as the main and the co-main. How about that? I'm not as nervous about it.
Stakes.
I'm not as nervous.
Yeah, there's no
I'm gonna be watching especially the main event like this, fam.
Yeah, I'm sure. Let's get it. Let's move on. We're almost there.
Moving on. Jessica Andrade versus Mackenzie Dern.
Yeah.
And we have 2 women on the opposite ends of the spectrum. Smart.
Yeah.
Crazy that Andrade is fighting again. You know, first
fifth
of all,
time
I'm sorry.
this year.
5th time this year. I'll let you go first on it, but she's got a lot going on, I think, right now.
Yeah. Jessica Andrade, former champion. She's on a big losing streak. She is back at 115 pounds. To me, this is her weight class. It's always been her weight class.
Right.
She dabbled at 125. She's done really well for herself at 125. She's a title contender there as well, but 115 is really her weight class. Yes, she's short, Dino. She's always been short. She's always been the stronger bully at 115. Like, when she wins, when Jessica Andrade is winning, she's the hammer.
Oh.
Lately, she has been the nail. That's kind of what's been going on, right? 3-fight losing streak, as I mentioned. It hasn't looked too good.
Finished.
Three fights.
And all of them, yeah.
It hasn't looked too good for her. But here's my question mark. Are we buying into... This is the question mark anyways. Are we buying into the narrative that Jessica Andrade is done? Or do we take each of those fights and kind of look at them for a second, right?
You have to.
It's Erin Blanchfield.
Right.
Absolute monster.
Really good.
Yan Xiaonan. Really damn good.
Really good.
And then
that was the most surprising one.
Fair.
But, man, she looked really good.
And then an undefeated Tatiana Suarez, who's in all likelihood next for the title.
Right.
So 3 really good girls she's lost to. People forget, in January of this year, she beat the dog shit out of Lauren Murphy. Probably the best Jessica Andrade we've seen ever was in January.
You know,
I get it.
It was Lauren Murphy.
That's fine. But who Lauren Murphy was at the time, where her ranking was. I'm just saying, we've seen the best of Jessica Andrade this year, and then the last 3 times we've seen the worst of Jessica Andrade. I don't know what to make of it. Other hand, Mackenzie Dern, we know she's a super, super high-level jiu-jitsu practitioner. That's her thing. Her takedowns, as a lot of jiu-jitsu practitioners, are not that good.
Not good.
She needs to work on that, because if Mackenzie Dern had really good takedowns, she could be dominant at 115. She really could. Because she's a big girl for 115, man. She looks pretty damn big when she's not cutting weight. You know what I'm saying? So, regardless, Mackenzie Dern, her whole thing is the ground game on the feet. She was always thought of as like a nobody on the feet. She's looked impressive.
I don't know about impressive. She's looked improved for sure.
She's looked improved.
My only thing with her is she gets hit a lot.
She does get hit a lot. And
Jessica Andrade is not the woman to get hit against.
She's not Angela Hill, right? Opposite end of the spectrum. She has a lot of power. But she did look really damn good, Mackenzie Dern, against Angela Hill on the feet. And we just saw Angela Hill last week. She's still Angela Hill, man. She's still got it.
No question.
With this fight, as much as, everything, taking everything into account, you still have to look at this as a striker versus grappler. Yeah. Because if this was a strict grappling fight, Mackenzie Dern would absolutely dominate. Right. And if this was a strict Muay Thai fight, I really do think Jessica Andrade probably wins it. Yeah. 2 years ago, she absolutely wins it. Oh, my God,
it's not close.
But,
are you kidding?
Yeah, I'm shaky on Andrade right now. Maybe I'm wrong for doing so, but I think I'm starting to buy into the narrative that she's done. 5 fights in a year while you're on a big losing streak leads me to believe that you're just kind of doing this for money at this point. And it's just a job as opposed to a passion. I'm going Mackenzie Dern by sub, I think, round 2.
I agree 100%. There's not a ton left to say. I do just want to mention that Jessica Andrade is in the middle of her own divorce. Both these ladies are going through divorces.
Yeah.
Jessica Andrade is going through her own divorce, which she claims has left her with no money. So that really explains, I think,
I didn't know that,
why she is fighting again now for the 5th time this year after just constantly getting finished. And like you said, it's against really, really good competition. But man, she's getting finished on the feet. She's getting finished on the ground. I got to go with Mackenzie Dern here too. I don't have a high level of confidence. If Jessica Andrade now, like you said, at her actual weight class starts putting hands on you, she still hits like a truck. So Mackenzie Dern, very hittable. And if you start getting hit in the face and your takedowns aren't that good, there's absolutely a venue for Jessica Andrade to win this fight. I'm still going to go with Mackenzie Dern. I also have second round sub written down here. So I'm going to go with that. She is the bigger girl. She's like really good. She's like Diego Lopes in the women's division good in terms of the jiu-jitsu. So
one more thing, Dino, I want to throw in what a difference a year makes, right? And not even necessarily a year. If this fight were happening in February, I would have 100% confidence picked Jessica Andrade, coming off of two straight wins. Coming off of 2 straight wins over Cynthia Calvillo and Amanda Lemos after her title loss to Valentina. And if you look at the Lemos fight, it was a really quick, sudden submission, and then she beat the shit out of Lauren Murphy. I would be super comfortable with it, but man, in the last 8 months, it's been just tough sledding for Jessica Andrade.
And you got to take in, like, these are human beings, right? You have to take into account the mental aspect of it, too. You're going through a divorce. You're going off 3 losses. I'm sure you're not sitting there, like, with your heart in it. Like, maybe she's finding that internal motivation now with all the things that are happening, and she's processing it in a different way. But, man, the track record doesn't necessarily say so. And, I mean, if your mental's not right, it's hard to get the rest of it right. So.
Now we get to the serious shit.
And now we get to the real serious shit. This is where I'm going to start, like, just cold sweating a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is, like, uncomfortable time.
Oh, yeah.
Uncomfortable time.
Big time. Big time. And, of course, the co-main event, and I'll take this one first. It is Sergei Pavlovich, the Russian. He's 18-1. Of course, it's at heavyweight, and he is taking on England's Tom Aspinall.
Just to note, this was supposed to be John Jones and Stipe as the main event of this card.
Right.
And Jones had to pull out with a pectoral injury. And now we're left with these two.
Which is potentially a better fight.
Potentially a better fight, but for what it's worth, Sergei Pavlovich was always technically the backup.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you know the sport at all, you know these two guys, right? We have Sergei Pavlovich, just a beast of a man. He's jacked. He's massive. He's strong as hell. Okay, we're talking Derek Lewis level strength in terms of his punches. With imagine a more just an actually technical striker with better hand speed, much better hand speed than Derek Lewis, but with the same amount of power. So the one thing with Sergei Pavlovich is we have literally no idea who he is outside of the first 2 minutes of a first round. Yeah. So what is the cardio like? Who knows? Yeah. What is the grappling like? We haven't seen a ton of it, right? So he's fairly one-dimensional if you think about it. I feel like he's not talked about as much as somebody like Derek Lewis. It's like, well, Derek Lewis just has the right hand, and he can knock you out, whatever. Sergei Pavlovich is not necessarily talked about it like that. And sure, he is more athletic at this point than Derek Lewis and all that. I'm not necessarily comparing the two. I'm just saying you've got to admit, he is pretty one-dimensional.
I mean, yeah.
So he doesn't throw a ton of kicks. He's mostly going to box. And then on the other side, you have Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall moves, as far as the heavyweight division, maybe the best movement and footwork in the heavyweight division this side of, let's say, Cyril Gane, right? There's nobody else that moves like that. Tom Aspinall is actually a well-rounded fighter. I would think he's actually got a little bit better hand speed. The power is not going to be there. I mean, Sergei Pavlovich is definitely going to have the power advantage here. But Tom Aspinall's the better grappler, right? So it's a really tough fight to predict, right? But if Sergei Pavlovich is going to win, how's he going to win this? He's going to win by knocking the shit out of Tom Aspinall and just catching him. And Tom Aspinall does leave his face open at times. So it is a very real possibility. We're at heavyweight, and this is a massive puncher. Of course, it's a real possibility. Look at the guys that he's knocked out very easily up to this point. Tom Aspinall, I'm going to go with him, man. I think he's going to pull it out. I think the movement, I think the fact that he just has more ways to win. I could see him winning by sub. I could see him winning by knockout. I could see him winning by decision even. It's really tough. But I have to go with Tom Aspinall. I just think The fact that he's more well-rounded. The fact that he is just... I don't think he's going to go in there and stand with him. I don't think he's going to go in there and stand straight one-on-one. I think I listened to a little bit of what he was saying Embedded or one of those things that I was listening to. He's saying that he's not going to stand there and strike with this guy. He knows how powerful he is.
Of course, yeah.
So Tom Aspinall does seem like somebody that is willing to actually follow a game plan. So I got to go with him, man. I'm going to go with him by... I'm going to go second round sub.
Very interesting. Couple things I agree with, obviously. Couple things I disagree with. I'm going to start with what I disagree with.
Yeah.
When it comes to... Okay, let me start here, actually. Both guys are 6-1 in the UFC.
Yeah.
Okay? So they've both had 7 fights. Both are 6-1. Would you believe that Tom Aspinall has spent significantly less time in the UFC cage?
Significantly less time?
Yeah.
It sounds wrong.
Tom Aspinall is statistically the fastest finisher
That's crazy.
at heavyweight.
Yeah.
Followed by number 2, Sergei Pavlovich.
Yep.
So we've seen more of Sergei Pavlovich in the cage, which is shocking.
That's nuts.
Which
nuts.
is absolutely shocking.
That's
nuts. Look, these guys are... I don't think... You said you think that Tom Aspinall could win this by decision. I mean, anything can happen.
Right, I'm saying if there was going to be a decision...
It'd be him.
I didn't mean that I think that's a high likelihood.
No, I feel what you're saying. But, okay, like last week we saw Jailton Almeida and Derek Lewis, and that went to decision and blew everybody's mind.
Yeah.
That is not happening here.
It's not happening.
That is, Dino, that's not happening
It's not happening.
No way. Okay, so Pavlovich, really good.
If that happened...
I'm tripping, yeah.
How the fuck did the fight go?
Who knows? Look, here's what I'm going to say. Let me do the quick breakdown, and then I want to talk about that. Pavlovich, as you said, boxer, nuts, power, willing to trade, all the bullshit. We know what we know about these guys.
Right.
And Tom Aspinall, very well-rounded, good ground game, good jiu-jitsu, good power.
Would you say he's a great fighter?
He's a great fighter. I'd love to fight him. Look, I think all that anyone has here in this fight, to be honest with you, is a gut feeling. I think you're an absolute liar if you're anywhere over 60% confident in any of these two.
I originally picked Sergei Pavlovich.
Okay. So I think it's 50-50. I think it's as 50-50 as it gets, as the odds would indicate. Whoever is right on this, they're going to be like, dude, see, I knew, I'm a genius. And it's like...
Dude, the odds are pretty much even.
That's what I'm saying. So the people that get this fight right, because somebody's going to win, so people are going to be like, I picked Pavlovich, and then he's going to knock his ass out and be like, I knew it, bro. And it's like, yeah. And then
don't mind me hitting you with let the record show.
Let the record show might be a real possibility. Same thing with Aspinall, right? If he wins, you're like, dude, of course, this guy doesn't have a ground game. He took him down and like beat the shit out of him in 40 seconds. It's like, yeah, like dude, I knew.
A tank, though, man.
Everybody to me is lying, Dino. I'm going gut feeling here as well. I do think Tom Aspinall is the more well-rounded fighter. But Sergei Pavlovich scares the living dog shit out of me.
He's terrifying.
I said a few fights ago, and I think I told you, I think I told you, that's the next UFC heavyweight champion.
I could totally see it, man.
Look.
You're lying if you can't.
Like I'm saying, 50-50. I think you're a liar either way. Nobody believes anything. This is going to finish fast. That's all we know, and one of these guys is going to win. And you're going to look smart or you're going to look stupid. I'm trusting Sergei Pavlovich, man, and I'll say this. I really, really hope.
I'll be so nervous.
I really, really hope, for his sake, and for their sakes, let's say, that Jon Jones and Stipe get their fight out of the way and they get it done and they both fuck off. Because I don't want to see them fight these guys.
Why?
Because they're going to get their ass whooped.
Who will?
I think the winner of this beats the winner of Jones and Stipe.
Really?
Yeah.
Even if it's Jon Jones?
I'd be petrified. I'm saying retire. Win that fight, rebook it, win and retire.
That's crazy. That's crazy business to say, honestly.
I know, and I'm wearing the jacket that Jon Jones liked. John,
damn.
Shout out Jon Jones, the GOAT. Win your fight against Stipe. Win your fight against Stipe, please, and then go home. Call it a career.
Anyway, what a nuts fight that's going to be. Moving on to the main event, and this is an obvious, if there was ever an R-boy, it's Jiří Procházka taking on Alex Pereira. Obviously, this one's at light heavyweight. I guess I'll go first on this one.
Run it, brother.
Wait, am I supposed to go first on this one?
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, this is another really, really tough one.
50-50 like the last one.
It's pretty 50-50, I would say.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend too much time breaking these guys down. You know who Alex Pereira is. You know who Jiří is. Jiří's coming off a 1.5 year layoff. Worst shoulder injury that we've ever seen, according to Dana. Had to vacate his belt. But, God, this guy's a goddamn warrior. Maybe has the most heart in the entire sport. He's never out, even if he's rocked, even if he's whatever. He's taking out Alex Pereira. And I'm going to be short and sweet and to the point here. I'm terrified in this fight. Okay.
It's a scary fight.
It's a scary fight. I want Jiří to win. I really, really do. And I want to see him fight Jamal Hill. Just two absolute my boys. I really need to see that. I have to go with Alex Pereira. I am leaning Alex Pereira on this one. It's super close. I'm going to go Alex Pereira by second round knockout. And I think it's going to be bad. I think it's going to be a violent knockout. And the only reason I say that is because Jiří is just not going to go down otherwise. He's not going to go down unless he's like fully out.
Unless he's done.
So, Alex has Glover in his corner. I don't think this fight is going to the ground, personally. If it does, I could see Jiří actually winning the fight or getting the advantage that way. But Alex Pereira just seems to be able to get up, man. He finds a way to get up even when he's taken down. And Jiří has gotten rocked in like every single fight, man. He keeps his hands so low. I know that's part of his style. The samurai style, I get it. He's got the whole thing going on. It's super exciting, but for the same reasons that I love Jiří are the same reasons that make me very scared for him in this fight.
He's got a risky style.
He's got a super, and that's why it's so goddamn fun. High risk, high reward. What's funner than that, right? So it's just Glover rocked him. Alex, what's his name? Jesus Christ. Dominic Reyes had him knocked out. Jiří admitted that himself.
The upkick,
The upkick literally knocked him out.
It flashed him,
Flash knockout. He woke back up right away and then just continued working on the ground.
And 30 seconds later, knocked him out.
And then 30 seconds later, violent, wild spinning elbow knockout.
Yeah.
Just one of the craziest knockouts you'll ever see. So, anything can happen in this fight. For me, it's the small things. Like, they're both such high-level strikers. I actually think, Prochazka is the more creative striker. Pereira has more power. Not saying that Prochazka does not have power. Right. I'm just very scared with where he keeps his hands. And he gets hit, man. He gets hit, and you can't get hit against this guy. You literally cannot get hit against him. I know we saw Jan, work the wrestling against him, but he wasn't able to keep him down too long, and that was at altitude. So,
well, he kept him down that first round, right?
He kept him down the first round, yeah. But for the most part, Alex Pereira finds a way to get up. We'll see, man. But unfortunately, I think Alex Pereira is going to knock him out.
Fair. And again, similar to the last fight, Dino, I do believe this is 50-50. I think it can go either way, right? And I think...
I'm a little less... I'm like 51-49. The other one I'm straight up
I get where you're coming from, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. I want to point out a couple things here. The majority of experts that you look at are picking Alex Pereira here.
Are they?
Yes. He's a minus 125 at time of recording to Jiří's plus 105.
Okay.
So
damn near even.
Damn near a coin flip, right?
Yeah.
So with all the experts picking Alex Pereira, my question is, where's the money at? Are people putting their money where their mouth is?
Right.
Realistically.
Right.
That's the first thing. Now let me get into this breakdown. You said you didn't want to break stuff like too much down. There's a couple things I want to break down though.
Sure, please.
All right. A lot is being made about Jiří Procházka's injury. Right? The shoulder injury, the worst we've ever seen, blah blah blah, all that. I think that was drastically blown out of proportion.
Yeah, very
I don't think it was a real thing. Look, Dino, we saw TJ Dillashaw, right? For example, he had massive shoulder problems, huge shoulder surgery. Dude's walking around looking like the third Dino and a robot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where was Jiří's sling?
Yeah.
Where the fuck is Jiří Procházka's scar?
Yeah, he's been for months and months now, certainly.
Do you see a scar on him? Have you seen a scar?
Oh, no.
I have not seen a scar.
You think he didn't have surgery?
I'm just saying, I haven't seen a scar.
Why do you think they did that? To build up Alex Pereira? Or for
no,
what reason?
No. I don't think it has anything to do with Alex Pereira. I'm just saying, a couple months, 2-3 months later, dude's training outside like a samurai, swinging swords and shit. Like, if it was the worst shoulder injury ever, he wouldn't be doing that.
Certainly not.
So that's blown out of proportion. Jiří Procházka has always had shoulder problems. I think it was like an accumulative damage kind of thing, and he just needed to get some shit taken care of. Regardless, the second thing is people are talking about a long layoff for Jiří. Again, not necessarily true. If you look at Jiří Procházka, it's been a year and a half since he fought.
Right.
He usually takes about 12, 13 months to fight anyways.
But that's not good, though.
I'm just saying, that's how he's been doing it in the UFC.
But, yeah.
So it's not...
I don't think that's what he would have liked to do, though.
I'm just saying, not an extended trip out of the cage from what's normal for
Sure, but, I mean, part of that he was recovering, though.
That's okay. I'm just pointing that out, right?
Yeah.
Not an overly extended outing. Was scheduled to fight Jamal Hill this summer, said he wanted more time, continued to wait out. When they were asking him about Jamal Hill this week, he said, take more time, trust me. Mm-hmm. Cool. So there's that. I just wanted to talk about that shoulder thing for a second. Another thing people are talking about is Jiří's chin. Have we seen him cracked in every fight? Yeah, we have. Every single UFC fight, we've seen him absolutely cracked. Yep. You mentioned Dominic Reyes with the up kick. Dominic Reyes had him, with a punch. Mm-hmm. He had him hurt. Glover obviously rocked him in the 5th round. Volkan Oezdemir was throwing big shots that had him kind of wobbling. So, yes, we do see Jiří get wobbled. However, we don't see Jiří go out. Last time he was knocked out was in 2015 against King Mo. It's 8 years ago at this point.
Right.
So the guy gets hurt, but he continues forward, okay?
And I know where you're going with this.
I just want to say that.
Yeah.
So let me throw what I'm throwing out there. We're at 205 pounds, Dino, not at 185 pounds, where Alex Pereira looked dominant. His power was absolutely something scary. We saw him knock out Sean Strickland, Michailidis, Israel Adesanya. When we saw him at 205, he wasn't able to put away a 40-year-old Jan Blachowicz.
At altitude, though.
At altitude, and that is what it is. He wasn't able to put away a 40-year-old Jan Blachowicz. Jan is a former champion. He's no schlub. Absolute dog, not taking anything away from him.
No, and I mean, it's at 205 where, the age matters a little less.
The age matters a little less. But my question mark is the power of Alex Pereira, does it translate to 205 the way it did at 185? I'm not taking anything away. Dude's got serious power. That left hook is something serious. Mm-hmm. It didn't seem to affect Jan Blachowicz as much as it affected guys at 185.
Certainly.
So I just want to throw that out there. As far as the ground game is concerned, I think Jiří Procházka does have the advantage. People were saying that Jan Blachowicz had the advantage over Alex Pereira. He wasn't able to do too much besides one round of control. He had the back. Pereira did a great job with not allowing himself to get submitted and then ended up turning that fight around. Close decision, by the way. I think Jan Blachowicz actually won that. Regardless, the key for Jiří Procházka is to get in and out. You cannot stay in that kicking range. The leg kick of Alex Pereira, to me, is the key for all of his fights.
Yeah.
It's the key for all his fights. That's what sets up that monster left hook, right?
Jiří's susceptible to leg kicks.
Jiří is susceptible to leg kicks. However, this is the last thing I want to throw out. Alex Pereira's offense, the knockouts that we see him do. Think Andreas Michailidis. Think the Sean Strickland. Even think the Israel Adesanya TKO, which wasn't really like a knockout. You know what I mean? He just had him hurt against the cage. But his knockouts come when? Similar to the Kamaru Usman thing we were talking about. When he's moving forward. Mm-hmm. He looks his absolute worst when he's moving backwards. That's when the world-class kickboxer, Dino, and Alex Pereira doesn't look quite as good. Because think about the Jan Blachowicz fight. I did a ton of film watching on that fight specifically. Jan Blachowicz was getting absolutely like the best of the exchanges when he was the one going forward. And what Alex Pereira was willing to do is kind of accept it, cover up and accept it, cover up and accept it until Jan Blachowicz stopped. And then he was like, let's reset, let's go. And then he was able to go. He was kind of doing that like back and forward dance with him. Mm-hmm. But when people are coming forward, that's when he's not at his best to me. I think these guys are going to swing and absolutely bang and do all that shit. I think it's going to be scary. But I think once they do settle down in the second, third, maybe the 4th round if we get there, that we're going to start to see Jiří kind of take over. I think he's going to punish him. I think he's going to hurt Alex to the body, TKO up against the fence. Get that belt back.
Let's get it. I would love to see it. I hope that he does win, honestly. I really do.
One more thing, Dino. Alex Pereira. His story is tied to Israel Adesanya. Yeah. We know that, right? There's the whole joke about, let's go. Izzy's doing this. Alex is doing this. Izzy's getting pulled over. He was the cop. Izzy goes to play in the NBA. This guy plays for the Celtics. He's playing for the Lakers. Mm-hmm. He ended Israel Adesanya's career. He really did. I think the Sean Strickland loss only happened because of what happened with Alex Pereira.
Right.
Well, you finished Izzy. I think it's time for you to be finished.
It's very possible. I mean, I don't think he'll be done after that.
No, he won't be done, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Your time at the top is done.
He has certainly had the easiest route.
I mean, he's 8-2 and he's fighting for his second title.
Yuri has a lot more experience.
He's 8-2 and fighting for his second title in the organization.
Yeah. No,
10 fights in.
He got he got the Abbas Magomedov treatment, except he actually won his fights.
More so.
So.
Yeah, more.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. If Magomedov beat Strickland, he would have been fighting for a title.
Oh yeah, right.
So I mean.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, it's gonna be a nervous ass fight. We'll see what happens. I hope that Yuri does win.
I think he's touching him to the body in the third round. You said what round?
I said second round knockout by Alex Pereira.
Yeah, I mean the knockout's coming.
Yeah, I just don't like where he keeps his hands, man. I really don't like where he keeps his hands.
One more thing, Dino. Jiří Procházka gets cracked, right? He gets cracked coming forward.
Yeah, but you can't.
No, I know.
This guy's got a great left check hook.
Look, I know he does. But does that make sense to you? Jiří gets cracked when he's blitzing.
Sure. So I get what you're saying. You're saying that's when Alex is to you
at his worst. So it's like, as long as Jiří can avoid the leg kicks, man, and then that doesn't hamper him too much, I'm really comfortable. But I think if he starts getting that leg taken out, that's when we're in deep shit, and he's gonna have to rely on wrestling if he wants to win the fight at that point.
Yeah, it's just that every single fight there's a red alert moment for Jiří.
Yeah.
And again, speaks to it's a testament to how much heart he has.
Yeah.
That he doesn't go down, but fuck, man, if there's anybody to not get clipped against, it's this guy.
I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, again, it's one of those you can't pretend to know, really.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyways, that's UFC 295. Next week, we get back to regular business. We get a fight night.
Yep.
Brendan Allen versus Paul Craig. Pretty interesting fight. Yep. We're also going to see Chase Hooper and Jordan Levitt, which is a matchup I absolutely love. I just love that. It's going to be insane. These two dudes just trying to submit each other. It should be fun as hell. Dino, anything else on this UFC 295 from Madison Square Garden?
No, I'm super excited.
Exciting, nervous.
Yeah, very
all that.
Nervous.
Couple our boys, couple my boys, couple your boys, couple y'all's boys maybe. Stuff like that, right?
Anyway. Steve Erceg's a their boy, right?
I'm down. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. He's like
John Castaneda.
It's a y'all's boy.
100%.
Guys, we're Dino and Dino. That's us. That's who we are. You can follow us on Instagram at the107MMA. If you enjoyed what you saw, subscribe button. It's right here somewhere. Right here. I don't know. It's down there. There's a bell. Ring it. Dino. That's the sound the bell makes. All right. Anything else?
Nah, man.
Guys, he's Dino. I'm Dino. Jiří follows us on Instagram. Get that belt back. Me and you need that Jamal Hill versus Jiří fight.
We do need that.
The universe needs to give us that. So, guys,
100%.
From Dino,
I'm channeling the warrior spirit.
Let's go. The Bushido code. Dino, we're out. Peace.